All right, ladies and gentlemen, earlier today, Dianne Feinstein took to the floor of the U.S. Senate, and in the release of the so-called enhanced interrogation torture report, which should never have been made public, even the Secretary of State agrees with that, it shouldn't have been made public now, went on to accuse the CIA, and specifically General Michael Hayden, who headed the CIA, of all kinds of lies and deception. We are now privileged to be joined exclusively by Michael Hayden. And first, let's watch some of what Dianne Feinstein had to say earlier today.
There are those who will see and say, see what the Americans did, and they will try to use it to justify evil actions or incite more violence. We can't prevent that, but history will judge us by our commitment to a just society governed by law and the willingness to face an ugly truth and say never again.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Dianne Feinstein. She was on the floor of the Senate for a good part of an hour or more, point by point, as she read from the report that was released by the Senate Democrats today, taking the whole enhanced interrogation program and particularly and specifically the CIA to great task, and specifically and particularly our next guest, General Michael Hayden, former head, of course, of the NSA and the CIA. General, thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Sure, Steve.
All right. As you were watching Dianne Feinstein, read these specifics and bringing you up, and we'll get to the specifics of what she said about you, what's going through your mind during that point?
Well, you mentioned she was going through things very, very specifically and particularly, and I should add, very selectively. This was her taking a 5-year look at 6 million documents, costing you $40 million with an army of contractors, and finding data points that support what I think all of us are pretty convinced was a preordained conclusion, that the program was wrong in concept, wrong in management, and wrong in that it was not successful in gaining information. And, you went through a mountain of data and you pulled out the data that supported your hypothesis. Steve, everyone needs to wait and make a fair judgment after the CIA rebuttal to this report comes out. And see, let me emphasize, the Barack Obama's CIA's rebuttal to this report, as well as the minority report from the Republicans on the committee.
This report did not speak to any CIA interrogators, did it?
It didn't speak to anyone currently or formerly employed by the Central Intelligence Agency.
Why was that, as far as you know? Were you not available? Were they not available?
No, none of us were asked. It wasn't a question of being available. The cover story that they're using is that there was a congressional investigation and therefore they could not get people to talk. Now, the congressional investigation ended in August of 2012, and last time I checked, Steve, we're in December of 2014. So you had 2 more years to double-check your work if you wanted. But even at the time, Director Panetta's word to the committee, to the Democrats on the committee, was simply, because of the justice investigation, I will not compel anyone to talk. But others were free to talk if they like. John Rizzo, who was the CIA lawyer when I was there, John voluntarily testified to the other Intel committee on the House side about the destruction of the videotapes during this very same period. So I just can't come up with a good reason why they didn't talk to people.
General, did you lie to the committee in 2006, I believe September of 2006, the entire committee, when you spoke to them?
No, would be the straightforward and simple answer.
Did you ever lie? Did you ever lie to that committee?
Of course not. Look, first of all, it's a felony. A couple other points to be made, Steve. All right? That briefing took place because Mike Hayden and the agency wanted it to take place. This was our work in the summer of 2006 to convince the administration that we had to brief the entire committee on the entire detention and interrogation program. And so I asked you, so I'm fighting within the administration, CIA is fighting in the administration, to get an audience to Congress so we can lie to them?
So when Dianne Feinstein today says you lied, is she lying?
I'll go so far as to say she's incorrect. I mean, lying is intentionally misleading someone. All right. Let me make another distinction. Telling people something they don't want to hear is not the same thing as telling people something that is untrue.
All right, General, stay where you are. We're coming right back here. One more segment with General Michael Hayden responding to the release of the so-called torture report, which the media is running wild with that term. We're coming back. Don't go away.